Hello. How is
Hi everyone.
everybody?
And how are you?
I'm doing okay. I am nursing a cold. That's why I sound like this. But I'm very happy to be here. And how are you?
I'm good too. I hope that your cold gets better soon.
Thank you.
But it's good to discover a new voice for you. It fits you well too.
Thank you. I have, like goes lower. So now I'm like practicing la 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 la. Oh, but yeah, an alto voice. But we are here because we're going to talk about the best book that I have ever read. Maybe uh, Mirrors in the Earth. Yeah, this is like what like a really like I wish I could have put 6 stars on Goodreads for this one. Um, yeah, I love you so much. It's my favorite book. Oh, yeah.
I loved it too. That book was really good. It was a beautiful, beautiful book. Tell me, what did you like about it? Why 6 stars?
I think for me, like this book was just it really teaches you to see yourself and like the stages of your life and the stuff that you're doing as anything that you feel doubtful about, or something you're not sure about, you feel fearful, anything that you doubt yourself about, like look to the earth and you can find your answer. So it's already telling you like the answers, and the thing that you're going through has already somehow been mirrored in the earth. Like you're not going through this alone. And if you were to just like step out and go for a walk in anywhere that might have a plant consciousness, a tree, a park, whatever, you can talk to the plant, you can observe the plant, the trees, the flowers, and maybe the answer might come to you. That was a really big one for me because in this book there's like 12 essays in which like Asia recalls what the earth taught her through stages of her life, and it's really really just amazing. It's just so well written, and it's just so like, it's not like here's how you heal your life, but it's more like go out, talk to the plants, like listen, look at my story, and also know how you can do this for you. And that's what I love so much about the book. What about you? Why did you enjoy this book?
I really enjoyed it because it was so personal to the author. There is so much trust that she has with her reader, and so much beauty in the way that she describes the inner depth of her and her difficult moments, because it spans a few years, I believe, because there's a lot in there, and there's a lot with self-healing, self health problems, and a lot of things, and that kind of intimacy helps us to witness our own intimacy, our own inner depths with more compassion. And the way that you mentioned the fact that we could look to the earth and see how the earth is also processing and having that process with us, and that we're not alone, is helping us to see that the more we do this, the more we turn to the earth, and the more we witness how loving and how tender and compassionate it is towards itself and with us, the more we become loving and compassionate with ourselves. And so, through the span of all those years, for the author, sorry, or even for myself and my own relationship, I've witnessed how much more compassion and kindness there is, and how much more that opens me up deeper and deeper, and then just adding another layer of compassion onto those deeper layers, and then the beautiful healing that happens, and inner connection. So that book was like a guide, but also like a resonance system that helped me to seek deeper. And to be honest, when I got this book, and I would love to say thank you again, I opened it and I did not close it. I read it in less than 24 hours. actually the only time I stopped is I just put it like that. I didn't even close it. And then I just picked it up again and then I finished it. I decided, oh, 12 essays, that's great. I could spend 12 days with it. And I didn't. I went very fast into it because I wanted to know all of it. I wanted to read all of it. And it's been a few weeks now and I want to do it again. I want to go back into it. So I loved the depth of it and the intimacy that she shares with us and with everyone that reads it. That was so courageous and brave and beautiful.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I really, yeah, it's really intimate and it really just feels like Asia didn't hold anything back. Like she just told the truth and that's it. And I loved it. And I think there's a part where she said something like her first draft of the book. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she had to rewrite it or something like that because one of the feedback that she got was like, it doesn't share your it wasn't, I forgot what it was, but I think the feedback was something like it doesn't tell your story. So like she went back and she rewrote parts of the book and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just, oh yeah, it tells the story, like it tells the story now. And oh, it's such a, I'm like, I love you so much. Yeah.
And what is so beautiful is that the more she becomes personal, the more she becomes universal.
Yeah.
Like the more she tells us of that story where there's a beautiful novel. I don't want to spoil it. I guess everyone who's watching this has read the book, I hope. But there's a story where she moved up the mountain and she's very isolated and she has a connection with a bird. And there's something that happens with that bird. She really shares the distress of that episode of her life and how bad it was for her. And the more she becomes personal and gives details about that specific moment, which must be difficult to share with the whole world. We don't know who, and we change so much. Maybe we don't want to be reminded of that, right? The more she does that, the more she opens those windows, those mirrors into our own moments where we had those moments and where we were lost and we found connection or we got better or we got support from others, whether they're animals or humans, but human animals. But yeah, it's so beautiful. Like the deeper it gets, the more we see that we all go through those emotional currents that are quite similar, even though the details or the context is a bit different.
Yeah.
So I know you had a question for me about what was my favorite, but yeah. I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite?
Oh, I think, let me look at the contents. There's like a few, but if I really had to pick one, I would say the reishi tree. Or the sugar bees. I guess, okay, I'll say the reishi tree. It's the last story in the book. And I think with this book as well, like I read it, how do you say it? Like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. But I think if I were to go back and read this book, I would hop around and just jump chapters because you can, I think it's possible to do that because they don't like, it's like essays. It's not like a flowing story kind of thing. But yeah, I would say the reishi tree. The reason why is because I'm trying to think. So basically in this story, she talks about how there's a hemlock tree that is now ready to be like decomposed and mushrooms can grow on it. And one day in her mind, she's like, oh, it's a reishi tree. And like, it's like, there's no such thing as a reishi tree, but she connects the dots and she's like, now it's a reishi tree because even though the form of the hemlock is no longer the hemlock, now reishis can grow on it. And it's just a very, I think it's a very good description of how I think a lot of us in our minds were like, oh, like a cup is a cup or like a book is a book. But there's so much more form and evolution that there's there. And like as human beings in this stage in our life, and this chapter actually talks about it, is like we are evolving. You know, all these things that we confine ourselves to, we can't confine ourselves to that anymore. We need to like embrace it and love it and look at the earth, look at the stories that the earth shows us and teaches us, and evolve, because in this next step is like we are like doulas for the next evolutionary stage of humanity. And you know what I appreciate about it is, I always say this, it's not like some new age like starseed like blah, blah, blah stuff, but like this one actually there was so much groundedness, and it really, I think, really resonated with me, because I really felt like Asia pulled a lot of the you know, like you're a person like needs proof, like prove it to me, like the answer is from the earth and it's all in this chapter. So I really appreciated it. I really liked it. Yeah, this one. And another one I actually I'm like, what's your only one? But no, another one I really liked was the sugar bees. I don't know, this one was really, I guess, firstly, it's the sugar bees, but it's a story about wasps. And I have this, I'm afraid of wasps. And my dog is allergic to wasps. And so I've never actually seen wasps in this way before, because now when I see a wasp, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like get it out of my home, like, you know. But it was just so honest. And it was the story about how when she was renting a place, there was like suddenly like a wasp nest growing in her place, and she, you know, didn't say anything. One day the landlady comes, and this is when Asia is about to move out of this like house that she's living in, and the landlady is like, oh, like there's just so many wasps now, like it's an infestation. So then the landlady sprays something, and then the wasps just start dying, like because they're inhaling the I don't know, like the chemicals or whatever. And so Asia basically talks about this process where she, you know, like each and every single wasp, she puts them on an altar. You know, she basically like helps with their transition as, you know, they're dying out. And I think it's a very it's a story, I think, that really made me think, because if I was writing a book, like, I wouldn't be so open to like admitting that, you know, I didn't stand up for what, like part of me would be like, well, I need to show myself in the best light. Like I need to have said that I stood up for the West and blah, blah, blah. But this was just so honest and so open. And I really appreciate that. And just like the transition of, you know, the wasps just slowly dying, and Asia just, you know, she says I make my way around my apartment, careful not to step on any of the wasps and anything. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, it just really touched me in a way. And yeah, I don't think I can look at wasps the same way again.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's so nice. It's a beautiful story. And I remember she makes a mandala with them, and like,
yeah,
that's such a beautiful story too. I mean, a beautiful image to have. Wow. What I really loved in this, like there's a story where, you know, there's different chapters and different essays, and she's going through things that are difficult, and then she gets better, and then there's other things that are difficult. And there's specifically one of them, which is an essay where she had an accident with the ice and the snow and her car, and she's going through the trauma of that. And we have, if I'm not mistaken, we have already witnessed different traumas that she went through and that she healed from. And there's a weird thing that happens with narratives, usually in movies, where we think that people go through something difficult and then they get happy ever after, which is not true. And it's the same with like the healing community, where for a lot of, you know, spiritual speakers, it feels like we go through something difficult and then it gets better, which is not true. And sometimes it gets better, but there's, you know, always a current, there's always an oscillation within there, or new things, because that's what life is about, you know. And to witness that she goes through something else and that she heals herself through that, and through the tools that she had and through the others and the other people around her, was such a beautiful reminder. And it felt more like she was a friend to us rather than those stories who kind of lie to us, because we want to believe in that lie. We want to believe that that's the last time, that it's going to be difficult, that it's finally going to get better, that we are going to have that happily ever after, which does not happen. But we are fed that dream and we want to believe in it. And that reminder in that book that, hey, no, just like life happens, that's how it is. And we're all in it and it's going to get better. That just, I don't know, it felt like the book was a friend, that the author was a friend, and that we could just find ourselves to have more strength and resilience when we have that solidarity, even of mind, of thoughts, of ideas, of concepts. So I like that. I really enjoyed that, because I was not running to see, does it get better at the end? You know, it's just like, what is life? What is this series of different little episodes that connect or do not connect with each other? Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really beautiful.
I wanted to ask you about this quote that you read to me and that you illustrated in a comic that we're going to put right now. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. Okay. So it is on page 262. Okay, so the quote is, "We are the children of a new old world. We are not just the dying hemlocks, nor are we the burgeoning reishi, but an alchemical fusion of the two. We are clearing within our bodies what is no longer working, that which is already dying. We recognize it as self-doubt and judgment, illness, oppression, and stress. And we contain within us the spores of a new beginning, self-compassion, empathy, a relationship with the living world, and deep trust in a wider process unfurling." I'm going to read the next part too. "To be a reishi tree is to anchor in self-belief despite the legacy of doubt we've been handed. It is to know that you are worthy and that you have the alchemical tools that you need to aid in this rebirth. Just like the threads of the mycelium starting with a hemlock tree long before the mushrooms can appear, this revolution begins at our heartwood, and it has already taken root. Yeah, this quote, this is the reishi tree chapter. This quote, I love it so much because it talks about like the transition that we're going to, and it's not, you know, especially, I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, I had to like stop going on social media and like the news, because every time I open it, it would just be like, we're, you know, in a disaster, like we're apocalypse or blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, I agree, you know, there's stuff out there that it is happening. It's not that it's not real, but that's not the end of our story. There's just so much more that we can do, and like if we just like lie into this belief that there's nothing we can do, and you know, like we're powerless against, you know, all the like climate change and like all these other things that are happening, that's it, you know, like I start to wonder, like, is that the end of human civilization? No, I believe in the evolution of humans, and I believe that we are going to evolve, and I believe that this will come through our heart, and that, you know, we already have the answers. Nothing is the end, you know. We have to keep going, and if we keep going, would I want to be like a person who's just keeping like going and feeling, you know, like the stress and the oppression? No, I don't want that. And I know I have the answers within me already. And I believe that humanity also has the answers within them. It's really hard to believe and hard to see sometimes, but if you can even just find that small like spore, you know, like just that spore within you, if you can even like just look at another person in your day and just be like, oh yeah, this person already has the seeds of the next life in them. Like it changes so much, and this is not the end of our evolution. And I really believe that as humans, like, I don't know, I trust it. I trust in our evolution, and I trust that this is not the story that we're going to leave with. So yeah, I think like this quote was very important to me, because what it meant to me is that we already have the answers. And I think like this is what the book also means a lot to me, is like the earth already knows, you know, in one of the earlier chapters where she talks about how I think the earth wasn't supposed to be at this tilt, but like a comet hit the earth, and because of that, like look at what the earth became. Like, you know what I mean? It's like parallel to that, like the disaster that hit the earth made the earth so beautiful. And you know, now the earth like took a while to like change and alchemize it, and it's the same thing with us. We are going to change, we're going to alchemize it. And you know, I might not be able to see it in this lifetime, maybe, but it is going to be that way. And I believe it. So yeah.
I believe in that too, and thank you for sharing and for quoting this. Can I answer to you with another quote that I highlighted from this book? And it's on page 181, and it's from the chapter Young Forests. And it says, when we embrace the young forests that we are, we create a new culture, one that is as diverse as wildflower seeds, born from our commitment to cultivating ways of being that are earth-honoring, self-accepting, and growth-centered. These seeds will see us through the big changes to come. Your willingness to be brave as a sapling is the medicine that will help, one day, bring back the majestic rose. What you decide to cultivate now within the soil of your mind will be the blooms that take root, stabilizing the ground of our future, when all the untenable structures and thought patterns begin to crumble. One day, whether it's because of a pathogen or the rising seas or something else entirely, we will have to return to living with the earth as our primary partner, mirror, mother, and source. A lot of people move to the mountains where I live just to prep for this day, one that could be close at end, or still many generations away. Rather than stocking our basements with canned goods, I believe the best way we can prepare for what's coming is to start incrementally shifting the roots of our culture to be sacred volunteers, thought leaders, messengers, and pioneers who are here to help turn our awareness back toward a more compassionate and balanced way of being, so that when the change does come, we can be like the brambles or the knotweed, ready to begin again. And just those two quotes that we read to you can show you, if you haven't read the book, that this is a gold mine of amazing thoughts and realities and a call to action. Read the book if you haven't, because it's so good. Yeah. We're here for the change, incremental change. Oh, that is so beautiful. What a beautiful book. Like after reading Braiding Sweetgrass and now this one, it's like, oh.
Yes. There's one book that I've not read yet, but I feel like, I don't know, it could be like similar maybe to Braiding Sweetgrass and Mirrors in the Earth. It's by, let me just look it up, but The Secret Teaching of Plants by Stephen Herod Burner. I will really want to read that one. Yeah.
That's additional reading for you guys.
And also, like, I love that Asia actually puts how do you say it, like citation. So then I actually went on like some of the citations and I like looked it up. And then at the start of the book too, there's like people who wrote, I guess they got the early copy, so they wrote what you call like reviews. So then I also looked some of the people up, and I feel like I really resonate with their work as well. So also, if you want more plant materials, look at the citations and the reviews.
And I also wanted to share something if we forgot to share about it, but the fact that there's so many citations is because there is both the personal story of Asia Suler, but there's also so much science and research, so many things that she quotes that you might not know of. And one of the exciting thing is that moment where she describes the fact that when you go into a forest, it's not always like birds are singing to each other. Sometimes they're just silent, but she learns that sometimes the birds, what they're talking about when they're communicating is the fact that you just entered the forest and like you're part of the conversation. They're like gossiping about you and they're like, oh my God, the lady with the red coat is here again. Didn't she come last week? And I love the fact that she teaches us that, because now every time I enter a park, I'm like, I feel so connected. Like I already feel connected, but like I feel so much more connected knowing that this has been proven. Like there is a fact, there's a scientific research that birds communicate, tell each other like, hey, and then the fox can know that, hey, there's humans here. There's a group of 3 humans coming that way. And then they keep telling each other like, they're here, they're here. And not just because, you know, you must protect yourself, but also because it's interesting. And they're like, oh my God, humans are coming. And I love that. Like, I love all those little facts that she shares with us because it makes us feel one with nature. And it's beautiful.
For sure. Thanks for sharing. No. I really actually resonated with that part as well, where like the birds will whistle and you walk in. And it's true, now when I walk like in the forest and I hear like, you know, the birds go like beep, 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 I'm like, they're talking about me. They know I'm here. Yeah.
Do you talk to them back?
No, I haven't. Sometimes I'll go like hello, but I don't know. I feel like for me, the trees always respond back, but maybe not the birds or the creatures.
Because there's this park that I'm used to go to here, like not far away from here, and I've been going there like every morning for months. And because I was in Paris for so many months, I didn't come. So I went there on Tuesday or Wednesday again for the first time. And this time I was wearing my big beanie and my big coats, and because it's so cold. And when I saw all the birds, I was like, yeah, I'm back. I missed you guys. Did you miss me? Like I felt part of one like big reunion, even though I don't know, but it felt like that. It was nice to be like, I'm gonna come back so much more often now.
That's amazing.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about this book?
Let me think. Honestly, if there's one more thing I have to say, like, I love this book so much. Please read it. I don't know. I feel like this book could change everybody's life. But I don't know. This is a really, really good book. And honestly, like if you know, like you're not sure about the book or anything or whatever, like I actually really recommend go to like Asia's website. It's called, I think it's One Willow. Hold on, let me look it up.
Apothecary.
Yeah, onewillowapothecaries.com. I before the book was released, like the only reason why I knew about the book, or not the only reason, but like I knew about the book because I used to follow, and I still follow the newsletter that Asia sends out. Is like a treasure trove. The Instagram as well. But yeah, even the newsletter, and also Asia has been on like guest teaching spots in some of the like lessons I've taken. So really any form of her work, the book, the newsletter, like YouTube videos and everything, like podcasts, is a gold mine, and I really recommend checking it out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Should we talk about the next book?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to introduce it?
Yes. So our next book is The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. And let's call it a classic in the genre of like spirituality and energy and understanding it. There's a lot of science to it. There's a lot of illustrations too. And it's a very, oh my God, I just understood something. Wow. It's actually recommended by another book that I wanted to propose to the book club, which is called The Field by Lynn McTaggart. And I just saw her name here and I'm like, what? But yeah, that's another book. So kind of like a book to understand the basics of science that could help us with your personal energy and your relationship with the universe. So that book is filled with information. And then, I don't know much more because we're going to read it together for once. I haven't read the book that we're reading with the book club, which is a victory in and of itself. But I'm very excited about this book. What about you? Did you know about this one and how do you feel about reading it?
Yeah, I'm very excited to read this one. I knew about this book because of, if you look it up on YouTube, it's called Erin the Snake Whisperer. It's a series of, I don't know how you call them, not documentaries, but it's a series by this by Erin Shade, and she talks about this book, but it's also a series I really recommend you check out. But yeah, I'm really excited about this book. I don't know much about it except I am familiar with the concept of the holographic universe, just in general. So I'm very excited to get into it.
Yes, me too. Oh, that's gonna be great. And then we can discuss about it. And also I feel like we could test a lot of things out because it's all about thought experiments and relationship, I guess. So let's see how our life evolves with the knowledge that is contained within this book.
Yes.
That's like the premise and the promise, I guess, of such a book. It's called The Revolutionary Theory of Reality, the latest frontiers of physics, the paranormal abilities of the mind, the unsolved riddles of brain and body. Okay, let's see. But I don't know when it was published. Let's check that out because maybe science.
91, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so, well, that version is with a foreword from 2010. So I guess they updated it. I think this is the second edition and they have updated it. If they're not, maybe not, because he died in 92.
Okay.
So they must not have changed it because that would be weird to change when the author is not alive. Yeah, they just added a foreword. That's it. All right.
Cool.
Wow, that book was published when we were born. That's crazy. Wow. All right. That's the new book. Thank you so much for watching.